This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry.
Got the right bitch. No lefty. Walking my truth. Don't fuck with my 17 crawl for you walk. Run it. Catch me. Got a sharp tongue. Spit it. Machete. Is it just me? Or does it seem like Caucasian women are really up in arms with Don Lemon? Because for Caucasian women, they somehow conflate ageism with sexism. It could be just me, but in my experience, it seems like Caucasian women really feel like growing old is worse than death. Now, in actuality, life expectancy in this country is between 70 and 80. But we say 100, and we say that midlife is 50. So if someone is 51, above mid, would they be in their prime? I don't recall anybody trying to have Don Lemon fired when he was spreading anti-black propaganda with Bill O'Reilly.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African-American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough.
Or what about when Don gave us the cure for racism?
Black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5, pull up your pants. Number 4 now is the N-word. Now number 3, respect where you live. Number 2, finish school. And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison.
There seems to be a bunch of weak links who left a bunch of comments like this. Definitely didn't pass the vibe check. Run it.
Slaves did participate in the construction of the White House. Slaves that worked there were well fed and had decent lodgings provided by the government. Let's say you're a cocaine dealer, and you kind of look like one a little bit. How are you going to get jobs for them? Many of them are ill-educated and have tattoos on their foreheads. There's an outreach, I don't even know what that means, by the Obama administration to African Americans. Right? Yeah. I don't know. What does that entail? Are they going to be on Soul Train?
Number 3, I'm against reparations, okay?
The left sees white privilege in America as an oppressive force that must be done away with. So-called white privilege, bad. Diversity, good. How Black Lives Matter is killing Americans.
I do think that racism is a serious issue in this country, and I don't know why you are so unable to see that. And
because I don't think it's an epidemic of racism. I don't think it's ingrained in the society, and every country on earth has racist elements in it. Wouldn't you concede that?
No,
we're not
everybody
racist.
Everybody else is racist, but we're not racist.
We don't have a system where racism is acceptable at all.
Africa is out of control. Is that politically correct? All right. That whole continent's out of control.
The way we've lived for the past 250 years are under siege.
You know, I was up in Harlem a few weeks ago, and I actually had dinner with Al Sharpton, and we went to Sylvia's, a very famous restaurant in Harlem. And I couldn't get over the fact that there was no difference between Sylvia's restaurant and any other restaurant in New York City. I mean, it was exactly the same, even though it's run by blacks, primarily black patronship. It was the same. There wasn't one person in Sylvia's who was screaming, MFer, I want more iced tea.
Please.
There are actually a lot of people in this country who are racist, and you just refuse to. I mean, I really have to wonder, like, really? So how many black friends do you have?
Really?
How many black friends do you have?
If you think most Americans are racist, I'm ashamed
I'm
of you.
asking you a serious question.
If African Americans get reparations from the government, okay, then everybody has to get them. I have to get a whole bunch of stuff in the crown.
I think they're more intimidated, though, than uncaring. I think they're
Intimidated
afraid.
by what?
I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid of black people. The white Republican power structure is afraid of black Americans. They don't know how to treat them. They don't know how to speak to them. They don't know anything about the culture. Just my opinion.
But why does that make you scared as opposed to being interested in understanding, embracing?
Because they don't want. They feel it's not worth the trouble.
We have suffered discrimination. We have suffered isolation and undermining.
I didn't hear a word she said. I was looking at the James Brown wig.
It's all catching up with Bill O'Reilly and that sexual harassment enterprise that they created over there at Fox.
Fox News anchor Bill O'Reilly will not be returning to the O'Reilly factor.
Parent company 20th Century Fox says it came to the decision after a review of the allegations of sexual harassment and verbal abuse coming by the host.
Anytime you find yourself agreeing with a known sexist, white supremacist predator, rethink your stance. Firstly, I'd say there's too many black people alone fighting for social justice on this app to say that we're just accepting it. Apparently, you're having trouble seeing the anti-blackness in Don's talking points. So let's run it.
Black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants.
Baby, you can buy all the slacks in K&G and use bungee cords to keep them on your waist, and that is not going to stop racism. Exposed underwear is not uncommon in our society. Most people wear underwear, and it's become common for people to wear them publicly. The only difference with sagging is that it's associated with hip-hop and blackness.
Number 4 now is the N-word.
Even I have a love-hate relationship with the N-word, but it's embedded into our language at this point. I don't see it going anywhere. And at the end of the day, black people did not create the N-word nor the hate behind it. But again, to stop saying nigga will not stop racism.
Now number 3, respect where you live.
Most trash is found in roadways and waterways, not the ghetto. Google it, as you would say. It's true that the hood is neglected not only by the residents, but by the officials, and that's the real problem. The ghetto doesn't have homeowners associations or landscapers, and the waste management is limited. My city, for example, the predominantly white areas recycling is mandatory. You get fined if you don't recycle. However, in the predominantly black areas, recycling is not even an option. There is no recycle pickup in the hood.
Number 2, finish school.
Now, I slightly agree with Don's point here, but he's cloaked in white supremacy, so we can't give him credit. Now, I would recommend getting a diploma or a GED. And I'd also recommend being certified with a skilled trade or at least an associate's degree if you want to compete in the U.S. job market as a black person. Otherwise, be prepared to work yourself to death for minimum wage. But you also have the option of going over to Ghana, getting your dual citizenship, and seeing what it's given over there.
And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should.
Now, Don, you're knocking on the wrong door with this one. Black women are not the demographic having a whole bunch of kids here in the U.S. But at the end of the day, black people have done all of this assimilating already. They've had the nuclear families already, and that didn't stop racism, honey. Because racism is not a problem that starts or ends with black people.